Be still. Do not be afraid of the quiet you feel right now. This quiet is not emptiness. It is the calm after victory. I am Archangel Michael, and I have come to speak to you because you have endured more than you were ever meant to fight alone. There were nights when your spirit was under attack and you did not even know it. Moments when fear entered your thoughts without permission. Times when heaviness settled on your heart for no clear reason. Days when you felt drained, discouraged, and unsure why. Those were not random moments. Those were battles. Battles fought beyond your sight, in places your eyes could not reach. And you need to know this now. You were never unprotected. While you were questioning yourself, I was standing guard. While you were losing sleep, I was intercepting what was sent to harm you. While you were blaming yourself for feeling weak, I was blocking attacks meant to break your spirit completely. You thought you were losing strength, but what was actually happening was resistance to your growth. When destiny draws near, opposition rises. The enemy does not fight what has no future. That is why the pressure increased. That is why confusion tried to surround you. That is why doubt spoke louder than truth. But hear me clearly now. The heaviest part of the battle has passed. You did not imagine how close you came to giving up. You did not exaggerate how hard it became. You were standing at the edge of a breakthrough while darkness attempted one final strike. And you survived. Not by force, not by shouting, but by endurance. You stayed when walking away would have been easier. You held on when surrender felt reasonable. You kept moving even when clarity disappeared. That persistence activated protection. Orders were given. Paths were blocked that you never saw. Plans against you were dismantled before they reached you. What was meant to delay you permanently was turned into temporary resistance. This is why you feel different now. The heaviness has lifted slightly. Your breathing feels deeper. Your thoughts are slower, clearer. That is not coincidence. That is release. The spiritual weight that surrounded you has been broken. You are no longer fighting the same battle. That season is closing. But listen carefully. Victory does not always feel like celebration at first. Sometimes it feels like exhaustion. Sometimes it feels like stillness. Sometimes it feels like needing rest after a long war. Allow that rest. You earned it. The next phase of your life will not require the same strength you used to survive. It will require clarity, and clarity is coming. You will soon see why delays happened, why certain people could not stay, why doors closed when you begged them to open. They were not punishments, they were shields. I stood between you and outcomes that would have cost you your peace, your confidence, your future. What comes next will not arrive violently. It will arrive securely. It will not confuse you. It will not drain you. It will not make you question your worth. You will recognize it by the calm that comes with it. This is how you will know you are no longer in survival mode. Your intuition will be sharper, your boundaries stronger, your discernment immediate. You will no longer feel the need to fight for space. Space will be made for you. Because the battle that required defense has ended. Now comes advancement. Stay alert, but not anxious. Stand firm, but not tense. The protection around you remains.
I am still near, and nothing that is meant to reach you can be stopped now. The war that tried to wear you down has failed. Your future is secure. Rest.
Listen carefully now. What you endured was not random, and what tried to stop you did not fail by accident. I am Archangel Michael, and I need you to understand this truth. The resistance you faced grew intense because the opposition misjudged your destiny. They thought pressure would break you. They believed exhaustion would silence you. They assumed delay would make you quit. But instead, it revealed who you truly are. There were moments when the attacks became subtle, not obvious destruction, but confusion, self-doubt, heavy thoughts that did not feel like your own, whispers that said, "You're behind, you missed your moment, it's too late now." Those were not your thoughts, those were strategies. Because when darkness cannot destroy you directly, it tries to exhaust you quietly. But hear this clearly. They pushed too far. What was meant to weaken you activated protection. What was meant to discourage you triggered intervention. Because there is a line that cannot be crossed, and that line was crossed. Judgment does not always come as punishment. Sometimes it comes as removal of access. What once had influence over your emotions no longer does. What once drained your energy cannot reach you the same way again. You may not realize it yet, but the battlefield has changed. The attacks have lost precision. The confusion has lifted. The fear no longer sticks the way it used to. That is not because you became stronger. It is because authority was exercised. Your name was spoken where decisions are made. Permissions were revoked. Assignments were canceled. Paths that once allowed interference have been sealed. This is why you feel different now. Not victorious in celebration, but lighter, less reactive, more grounded. That is what happens when a battle ends before the mind catches up. The enemy believed that if they delayed you long enough, you would walk away from your purpose. But destiny does not retreat. Destiny waits. And while you waited, you were being reinforced. Your discernment sharpened. Your boundaries strengthened. Your dependence shifted inward and upward. You stopped asking everyone else for answers. You stopped chasing approval. You stopped explaining yourself to those who had no intention of understanding. That silence you entered was not isolation, it was protection. Because some battles are not won by confrontation, they are won by separation. You were removed from environments where your energy was being drained without your consent. You were protected from agreements you were about to make out of fatigue, not wisdom. And now, those options are no longer available. Not because you lost them, because you outgrew them. The opposition expected you to return to what was familiar, to repeat old cycles, to doubt your intuition again. But you didn't, and that changed everything. The moment you chose rest over reaction, clarity over chaos, peace over proving, the strategy collapsed. What comes next will feel noticeably different. There will be less resistance, less inner conflict, less emotional turbulence. Not because challenges disappear, but because access has been denied. Your spirit is no longer exposed the way it once was. This does not mean you lower your awareness. It means you move forward without fear. Because protection is not temporary.
it remains. And now, what was delayed is being released in order. Not rushed, not forced, aligned.
Be attentive now. What you are entering is not another battle. It is a shift in authority. There is a reason the pressure has eased. There is a reason your spirit feels steadier. There is a reason you are no longer fighting the same internal wars. The conflict has ended where it mattered most. And when warfare ends, movement begins. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak to you now from a place of clarity. You are no longer pushing against resistance. You are stepping into alignment. That difference is subtle, but it is everything. Before, progress required effort. Now, progress will require awareness. Before, every step felt contested. Now, steps will open as you approach them. You will notice this first internally. Your thoughts are less frantic. Your decisions feel quieter. Your reactions are slower, more deliberate. That is not hesitation. That is command. When you were under attack, your energy was spent defending yourself. Now that defense is no longer required. That same energy becomes direction. This is why you feel as though you are standing still, yet something is clearly happening. Movement does not always announce itself. Sometimes destiny advances by removing friction. The arguments that once drained you no longer escalate. The confusion that once surrounded choices no longer clouds your judgment. The urgency that once pressured you has lost its grip. That is how you know the battlefield has changed. What comes next will not force you to prove anything. You will not be rushed into decisions. You will not be pressured into agreements. You will not be drawn into explanations. You are no longer in reaction mode. You are in positioning. Destiny does not need noise to move forward. It requires alignment, and alignment is quiet. You may be tempted to think nothing is happening yet, but listen carefully. Nothing is fighting you anymore. That is the sign. When destiny advances without resistance, you will feel less emotional charge around outcomes. You will notice that what is not meant for you removes itself quickly. Conversations end naturally. Doors close without pain. Options fall away without regret. This is not loss. This is efficiency. You are being spared unnecessary detours. What once took effort to maintain will no longer require maintenance. What once demanded constant attention will no longer ask for your energy. This is how you know you have moved into a protected phase. Now comes discernment. Not suspicion, not fear. Discernment. You will sense alignment before action. You will recognize truth before explanation. You will feel peace before confirmation. That is the authority you earned by enduring the battle. Do not rush this phase. It is tempting to fill quiet spaces with activity, to mistake stillness for delay. But this is not delay. This is calibration. Your spirit is adjusting to a new environment where struggle is not the baseline. You are learning how to move without bracing for impact. That takes time. Let it. Soon, movement will begin to show externally. Opportunities will appear without pressure. Connections will form without exhaustion. Ideas will surface that feel clear instead of urgent. You will not have to convince yourself. You will recognize them by how little they demand from you. Destiny that requires force is not destiny. Destiny that arrives in peace is aligned,
And this is what is unfolding now. What was blocked is no longer blocked. What was delayed is no longer contested. What was opposed is no longer challenged. You are not advancing into chaos. You are advancing into order. And order always feels quieter than conflict. Remain grounded. Do not look back for confirmation from what you survived. Do not measure progress by the intensity you no longer feel. Measure it by the peace you now carry. That peace is not passive. It is authority resting in its place.
Victory does not end with noise. It settles into discipline. Now that resistance has lifted, your responsibility changes, not to fight, but to remain aligned. I am Archangel Michael, and I speak to you now as a guardian, not a warrior, because what you are protecting now is not your survival, it is your peace. You are no longer required to stay alert for attack, but you must stay aware of patterns. There is a difference. Fear watches everything. Awareness notices quietly. You do not need to guard yourself with tension. You need to guard yourself with clarity. Old battles try to return not through force, but through familiarity. They appear as invitations, as nostalgia, as one last conversation, as curiosity about what you already outgrew. This is where many step back into cycles, not because they are weak, but because peace feels unfamiliar after long warfare. So listen, you do not owe closure to what already ended. You do not owe explanation to what no longer walks with you. You do not owe access to anything that cost you your stability. Walking forward does not require confrontation. It requires consistency. Consistency in what you allow. Consistency in how you respond. Consistency in honoring your discernment. You will notice now that you feel discomfort sooner. That is not anxiety. That is alignment protecting itself. When something does not belong, your spirit signals it early. Do not override that signal. You are not meant to debate every feeling. You are meant to trust the clarity you earn. There is no reward for returning to environments you had to recover from. There is no growth in proving you can tolerate what drained you. Peace is not fragile, but it must be respected. This is how you protect it. You move slower, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You pause before agreeing. You observe before committing. You allow time to reveal intent. What is aligned will not rush you. What is misaligned will pressure you. This rule will never fail you. Another truth you must hear now. Not everyone will understand the version of you that no longer fights. Some will say you've changed. Some will say you've become distant. Some will miss the version of you that was easier to access. Let them. You were not created to remain reachable to everything. You were created to be effective where you are assigned. Your calm may unsettle those who relied on your reaction. Your boundaries may offend those who benefited from your exhaustion. This does not mean you are wrong. It means you are no longer available for roles that harmed you. Walking forward requires restraint, not suppression, not silence, restraint. You choose where your energy goes. You choose which conversations continue. You choose which doors remain closed. And you choose without guilt, because guilt is how old battles try to regain access. You are not responsible for how others respond to your healing. You are responsible for not abandoning it. Your future will require clarity more than courage. You already proved your courage. Now comes stewardship. Protecting the space where destiny can unfold without interference.
Soon you will notice that life begins to meet you differently. Less resistance, less emotional drain, more direct paths. Not because the world softened, but because you stopped leaking energy. That is power. And power that rests does not need to announce itself.